The late afternoon sun spread a soft golden glow across the quiet neighborhood street, warming the worn pavement and the little boy's small footsteps as he walked home from school. His backpack bounced lightly with each step, the day's tiredness settling into his shoulders. He didn't notice anything unusual at first, just the gentle rustle of leaves, the distant hum of a lawnmower, and the soft calm of an ordinary day. But then he felt it. A presence. Not threatening, just there. When he turned, he saw a small dog standing a few steps behind him, ears perked, tail lowered but wagging slowly, eyes fixed on him with an expression that looked almost hopeful. The boy blinked, unsure whether to smile or keep walking. The dog didn't move forward. He simply waited, head slightly tilted, as though giving the boy all the time he needed. The boy hesitated, then took one step. The dog followed, gently, quietly, as if matching the rhythm of his tiny footsteps. "Are you following me?" the boy whispered, his voice soft, more curious than afraid. The dog's tail thumped once, a small, patient answer. Something warm bloomed in the boy's chest, a feeling he couldn't name yet. He walked again, slower this time, watching over his shoulder as the dog matched his pace with delicate precision, never getting too close, never falling too far behind. It felt intentional. Gentle. Almost protective. At the corner of the street, the boy stopped completely. The dog sat down, meeting his gaze with calm, quiet eyes full of meaning the boy didn't yet understand. And in that instant, a soft mystery settled between them. The reason the dog followed him would change both of their lives in the most beautiful way. The late afternoon sun rested low in the sky, laying soft ribbons of gold across the quiet neighborhood street. Warm light touched the fences, the mailboxes, the cracked pavement, everything softened under it. The little boy walked slowly, the straps of his backpack loose over his shoulders, his sneakers tapping lightly against the sidewalk. It was one of those ordinary days when nothing seemed special, but somehow felt gentle. He kicked a pebble ahead of him. It skittered across the concrete. He sighed and kept walking. Behind him, the world seemed still until he sensed something. Not a sound. Not a movement. Just a presence. A quiet shift in the air. The kind you don't hear with your ears but notice with your heart. He didn't turn around immediately. He took 2 more steps. Then 3. And finally, curiosity nudged him. He looked back. A small dog stood a few yards behind him. Soft brown fur, floppy ears, gentle posture. Nothing threatening. Nothing loud. Just watching him, with calm, steady eyes. The boy blinked. "Hi," he said, barely above a whisper. The dog didn't move forward. Didn't bark. Didn't tilt his head in confusion. He simply stood there, tail slightly lowered but wagging in a slow, thoughtful rhythm, as if he wanted the boy to know he meant no harm. The boy turned forward again and walked. Soft footsteps followed. Not right behind him, just far enough to feel respectful. He looked back again. Same distance. Same quiet patience. Same warm gaze. The boy stopped. The dog stopped. The boy took a tiny step to the left. The dog mirrored it, soft, gentle, almost shy. A small smile tugged at the boy's mouth. "Just a little one." "Are you really following me?" he asked softly. The dog's tail lifted an inch, wagging again once, twice, like a tiny heartbeat. The boy wasn't used to being noticed. Not like this. Not with such gentle focus. At school, kids walked past him without thinking. At home, grown-ups rushed through life too busy, too tired. But this dog looked at him like he mattered. He started walking again. This time slower, giving the dog space to follow if he wanted. He did. Quiet pause. Careful steps. Always behind him, never too close. The boy felt something warm bloom in his chest, something he couldn't explain yet. When he reached the small intersection near his home, he paused under the soft shade of a big maple tree. Golden sunlight filtered through the branches, casting warm patterns on the ground. The dog stopped again, sitting down calmly, as if he understood this moment meant something. The boy turned fully to face him now. Both of them simply looked at each other. No words. Just a quiet exchange, one filled with curiosity, gentleness, and a strange sense of connection neither could name yet. The dog blinked slowly. The boy's heart softened even more. Maybe it was the way the dog held eye contact. Maybe it was the stillness. Maybe it was the warmth of the day. But something in that moment felt like the beginning of a story. "What do you want?" the boy asked gently. His voice wasn't annoyed. Not scared. Just wondering. The dog lowered his head a little, not in fear, but in something that looked like trust. Like he was waiting for permission to stay close. Like he was letting the boy choose what happened next. The boy didn't reach out. He didn't step forward. He just let the moment breathe. A quiet breeze moved through the branches above them, rustling the leaves. A car passed by in the distance, slow and unimportant. The whole world felt wrapped in a soft golden hush. Finally, the boy took one step toward home. The dog stood up, gentle, patient, and followed again with the same soft pace, matching the rhythm of the boy's steps as if he'd known it all his life. The boy's heart gave a tiny flutter he didn't fully understand. Why him? Why today? Why with such quiet purpose? As he reached the path leading to his house, the dog stopped at the end of the sidewalk. He didn't push forward. He didn't cross the invisible boundary. He simply stood there, tail sweeping the ground in slow, hopeful arcs. "You're waiting," the boy whispered. One soft wag. One quiet breath. One moment of connection that felt deeper than words. The boy lingered there, studying the dog. The warm fur. The gentle eyes. The calm patience. Something about him felt meaningful. Like there was a reason for all of this. A purpose behind each step the dog took. But the truth, that soft, beautiful truth, remained tucked away. Not lost, just waiting. The boy took one final step toward his door. The dog sat down again. Watching him. Steady. Quiet. Faithful. And somewhere inside the boy's small chest, something shifted. A beginning. A spark. A gentle mystery that wrapped itself around his heart with warmth. He whispered, "I'll see you tomorrow, maybe." The dog's tail brushed the ground again, soft, hopeful, sure. And as the boy stepped inside, one truth lingered unspoken in the quiet evening air. The reason the dog followed him was more beautiful than anyone imagined. Morning sunlight spilled gently across the front porch, warming the wooden steps as the little boy tied his shoelaces. Birds chirped somewhere in the distance. The air felt calm, the kind of calm that makes you pause without knowing why. He opened the front door and stepped outside, backpack hugging his shoulders. He didn't expect anything unusual. But there, across the street, near the neighbor's trimmed hedge, a small shape waited. The same dog. Sitting. Still. Watching him with those soft, steady eyes. The boy froze for a moment. "You're here," he whispered. The dog didn't bark or rush toward him. Instead, he stood up slowly, tail wagging in that same calm rhythm, an unspoken greeting the boy already recognized. The boy felt something warm flutter in his chest. He took a few steps toward the sidewalk. The dog took the same few steps, keeping that respectful distance, as though he understood boundaries better than most people did. Together, one leading, one following, they began their morning walk. The street was quiet. Soft light fell across the pavement, catching in the dog's fur and giving it a gentle highlight. The boy noticed how the dog walked, not too fast, not too slow. Just enough to feel like they were sharing the same moment. He glanced over his shoulder. "You came back." The dog's tail lifted slightly, a small, peaceful answer. The boy turned forward again, smiling quietly to himself. Down the street, a sprinkler ticked in someone's yard. The scent of freshly cut grass hung in the air. Everything felt simple, yet somehow different. Warmer. Like the world had shifted just enough to make space for something new. Halfway to school, the boy slowed. He wasn't sure why. Maybe to test something. Maybe to see if yesterday was a coincidence. The dog slowed too, exactly at the same pace, matching the boy's steps as though he were reading his thoughts. The boy's breath softened. "You're really paying attention to me, huh?" The dog blinked once. A soft, calm blink. A language all its own. As they reached the corner where the boy usually turned towards school, he stopped. He wasn't allowed to bring a dog onto school property. He knew that. But he also didn't want to just walk away without saying something. He turned around fully. The dog sat down again, just like the day before, like he understood this was where the boy had to leave him. "You can't come with me," the boy murmured. "But I'll be back later." The dog didn't whine. Didn't stand. Didn't push for more. He simply wagged his tail twice, slow and content. The boy took a step away. The dog stayed. The boy took 2 more steps, then looked back. The dog was still watching him, not with sadness, not with worry, but with quiet trust. As if he knew the boy would return. Something tightened in the boy's chest. A soft, warm ache he wasn't used to. He whispered, "Okay, later. I promise." And for the first time in a long time, he felt like he meant those words. School passed slowly. He doodled pictures of small floppy-eared dogs in the corner of his notebook. During recess, he caught himself glancing toward the fence, imagining soft brown fur and gentle eyes waiting on the other side. He didn't know why he felt this way. Like the dog wasn't just a dog, but something important. Something meant for him. When the final bell rang, the boy hurried outside, heart beating quicker than usual. He turned the corner near the crosswalk and stopped. There he was. The dog stood waiting in the shadow of a tree, exactly where the boy had left him, tail wagging slowly the moment their eyes met. "You waited," the boy breathed, amazement softening his voice. The dog stepped forward just a few inches, ears perked with gentle hopefulness. The boy felt a warmth spread through him. He walked closer. "I thought maybe you'd wander off," he said. "But you didn't." The dog wagged again, soft and steady. They began the walk home, the same rhythm returning as if they had been practicing it for years. The boy felt lighter somehow, like the weight he usually carried had loosened. Cars passed occasionally. Leaves rustled along the sidewalk. But the real sound, the one he kept noticing, was the gentle patting of paws behind him. A soft reassurance he hadn't realized he needed. When they reached a small patch of trees near the sidewalk, the boy stopped. The dog stopped too. "Are you doing this for a reason?" he asked quietly. His voice wasn't meant to be answered. It was simply how his thoughts slipped out. The dog tilted his head slightly. Not confused, just listening. Really listening. The boy sat on the low curve of the curb, letting the warm breeze brush his cheeks. The dog hesitated for a second, then lay down a few steps away, paws tucked neatly, gaze still on the boy. A peaceful silence settled between them. The boy exhaled slowly. "I like that you come back," he said. "I don't know why. But I do." For a moment, the dog closed his eyes, letting the sunlight warm his face. When he opened them again, the boy felt something gentle pass between them, a quiet understanding. Not spoken. Not explained. Just felt. The boy stood up again. The dog followed. Their rhythm returned. As the boy reached the front path of his home, he looked back one more time. "You'll be here tomorrow, right?" The dog sat at the end of the sidewalk again, tail brushing the ground, eyes warm with a meaning the boy didn't yet understand. But inside him, something soft whispered yes. And though neither of them knew it yet, this gentle routine, this quiet connection, was only the beginning. The next morning began quietly, with pale sunlight filtering through the kitchen window as the boy slipped on his backpack. The house felt still, the kind of stillness where every small sound echoed softly, the zip of his jacket, the creak of the front door, the faint crunch of gravel under his shoes. He stepped outside, and paused. The dog was already there. Sitting calmly at the edge of the sidewalk, tail resting on the ground, eyes steady and warm like he had been waiting for the boy long before the sun came up. The boy blinked in gentle surprise. "You came early," he whispered. The dog stood, tail moving in quiet, slow sweeps. The boy walked down the steps. The dog matched his pace perfectly, not rushing, not hesitating. Just following, with purpose. With intention. They began their morning walk. A warm breeze floated down the street, carrying the scent of fresh bread from a nearby bakery. The soft glow of morning light made everything feel peaceful and safe. And somehow, the dog's presence made it even warmer. The boy had a habit, one he didn't even notice at first. When he was tired, he slowed down. When he was excited, he sped up. When he was nervous, he shuffled his feet a little. The dog noticed all of it. Halfway down the block, the boy shuffled, thinking about a test he had forgotten to study for. His shoulders dropped slightly. His breath shortened. The dog moved closer. Just one step. Not touching. Not bumping. Just being there. The boy glanced back. "You can tell?" he asked softly. The dog gave a slow blink, gentle, aware, comforting. The boy turned back around, walking a little straighter now. At the school corner, they shared their quiet routine. The boy stopped. The dog sat. Same distance. Same stillness. Same soft trust. The boy knelt down, not too close, just enough to meet the dog's gaze. "I'll be back," he said, his voice steadier this time. "I promise." The dog's tail brushed the ground once. The boy walked away. The dog stayed. When the final bell rang, the boy didn't rush outside, he drifted. Something in him hoped, no, trusted that the dog would be there again. And he was. Under the same shade, in the same quiet posture, tail sweeping the dirt in slow, warm motions. The boy smiled. "You're good at this," he said. "Like, really good." The dog tilted his head, as though acknowledging the compliment. They walked home. Today, though, something was different. The boy talked more. Not a lot. Not loud. Just small, quiet things he'd never shared with anyone before. "I got nervous in class today. My teacher thinks I'm quiet, but I'm just thinking. Sometimes, I feel like people don't really see me." The dog listened. Fully. Deeply. His ears relaxed, his steps patient. When the boy paused in the middle of a sentence, the dog slowed too, glancing up in a way that felt almost human, like he was saying, "It's okay, take your time." The boy's voice softened. "You understand me, don't you?" The dog's tail brushed the ground, slower this time. Meaningful. They turned down a quieter street lined with old trees. Sunlight filtered through the branches, creating shifting patches of gold on the sidewalk. The boy loved this street, but he never told anyone. Somehow, the dog stopped walking right beneath the boy's favorite tree, as if he knew. The boy's breath caught. "How did you? No way." He reached out, hand hovering in the air but not touching. The dog leaned forward ever so slightly, inviting, gentle. The boy smiled, a soft, hesitant smile that hadn't appeared in a long time. "You're really something," he murmured. They continued walking, but now the dog stayed a tiny bit closer. Not enough to break his respectful space, just enough to show connection. As they neared the boy's home, he slowed again, not because he was sad, but because he didn't want the moment to end. The dog sensed it instantly and paused beside him, head tilting gently. "You can feel everything, can't you?" the boy whispered. The dog didn't move. He just watched him with those deep, calm eyes. The boy exhaled softly. "I wish I could do that." The dog blinked slowly, a quiet reassurance. At the end of the sidewalk near the boy's house, the dog sat again, tail curling around his paws. The boy stood there longer than usual, shifting his backpack, unsure how to say what he felt. "I'm glad you follow me," he finally said. "It makes the day feel nicer." A warm breeze passed through the trees around them. The dog closed his eyes for a moment, letting the sun warm his fur. When he opened them again, they held a softness the boy felt right in his chest. He walked toward the door, turning back one more time. "You'll be here tomorrow," he whispered, not as a question, but as hope. The dog didn't make a sound. He didn't need to. The slow, steady wag of his tail said everything. And as the boy stepped inside, he felt it, the quiet certainty that this small dog, this gentle follower, understood him better than anyone else ever had. Little did he know, these small acts of intuition were only the beginning of what the dog was trying to show him. The next morning arrived with a soft gray sky, the kind that made the whole neighborhood feel hushed and gentle. The boy stepped outside, pulling his jacket a little closer around him. He expected to see the dog somewhere nearby, but he still felt that tiny spark of wonder each time. And there he was, sitting under the same familiar tree near the sidewalk. Quiet. Patient. Tail resting against the ground as if he had been waiting only for the boy. The boy's lips curved into a small, warm smile. "You're early again," he whispered. The dog stood slowly, giving that soft, steady wag he always did, never rushed, never frantic, just calm and sure. It was becoming a language between them, one the boy understood without thinking. He walked down the steps, and the dog fell perfectly into rhythm behind him. Today felt different, though. Not because of the weather. Not because of anything the dog did. It was him. He felt ready. Ready to talk. Ready to trust. They continued down the street, their steps blending with the quiet morning sounds, distant birds, a car engine humming somewhere, the soft crunch of leaves underfoot. Every few seconds, the boy glanced back, not because he doubted the dog, but because he liked seeing him there. "I've been thinking about you," the boy finally said, his voice low, almost embarrassed by the honesty. "Like, a lot." The dog's ears shifted slightly, attentive but calm. "I don't usually talk to anyone on the way to school." "Or, really at all," the boy continued. "But with you here, it feels different. Not heavy. Not weird." The dog moved a little closer, not much, just enough to show he heard every word. The boy smiled softly. "I guess I like talking to you." They walked another block before the boy spoke again. "Yesterday, when you slowed down when I got nervous, that meant something to me." The dog looked up at him, eyes warm, gaze steady. "You just know things," the boy whispered. They reached the school corner. The boy stopped. The dog sat. The usual routine. But today, instead of walking away immediately, the boy crouched down, closer than he ever had before. His knees touched the cool sidewalk. The dog's ears lifted slightly, not in alarm but in acknowledgement. For a moment, they looked at each other at eye level. "I want you to know something," the boy said, voice quiet but sure. "I don't feel nervous when you're around." The dog blinked once, slow, calm, understanding. The boy's voice trembled just a little. "That hasn't happened in a long time." A soft breeze brushed his face. The dog leaned forward just an inch. Then stopped, waiting for permission. The boy's chest warmed. "You can come closer," he whispered. The dog stepped forward, gentle, deliberate, and rested his chin near the boy's knee. Not touching. Just close. The boy let out a breath he didn't know he'd been holding. "Thank you," he murmured. After a few seconds, he stood up. The dog did too. "I'll see you after school," the boy said. And this time, it wasn't a promise. It was a certainty. The final bell rang later that day, and the boy hurried outside with a quiet excitement he couldn't hide. His footsteps felt lighter, his shoulders less tight. He turned the corner. And saw the dog waiting. Not under the tree this time. Closer. More open. The boy laughed softly, a real laugh, small but warm. "You didn't have to come so close," he said. "But I'm glad you did." He walked toward the dog. The dog walked toward him. Not behind him this time. Beside him. The boy felt it immediately, that shift. A quiet upgrade in their connection. Something deeper. Something earned. They started the walk home, side by side. The dog occasionally glanced up, checking in, reading the boy's mood with uncanny precision. "You know," the boy said lightly, "you're the first one who waits for me every day. Feels kinda nice." The dog's tail wagged in that slow, meaningful rhythm. They passed the row of tall trees that lined the quiet part of the street. Light filtered through the leaves in soft beams, casting warm patches along the path. The boy reached toward the light, letting it warm his fingers. "Sometimes," he said, "I pretend these walks are my favorite part of the day. But it's not pretending anymore." The dog pressed closer, not touching, just close enough to let the boy know he understood. They reached the usual spot near the boy's home. But this time, the dog didn't sit right away. He waited, watching the boy carefully. "You want me to say something, huh?" the boy murmured. He took a breath. "I trust you." The dog's tail brushed the ground, slow, steady, full of meaning. The boy smiled gently. "And I hope you trust me too." For the first time, the dog stepped closer than ever before, closing the little gap, just enough to let his shoulder brush the boy's leg. Not an accident. Not an urge. A choice. The boy's breath caught in his throat. "You do trust me." The dog looked up at him, eyes warm, soft, certain. The boy knelt down, heart full. He didn't hug the dog. He just placed his hand near him in quiet acceptance. "You can stay," he whispered. "You can stay as long as you want." The dog leaned into the space between them, not a full touch, not overwhelming, just a gentle shift of weight. A gesture that said everything. And in that moment, under the soft gray sky, their bond moved from curiosity to trust. A trust neither of them fully understood yet, but both of them felt deeply. The next day felt unusually still, as if the morning itself were holding its breath. Soft sunlight glowed through thin clouds, casting a warm, hazy light across the neighborhood. The boy stepped outside, heart a little fuller than usual, eyes drifting immediately to the spot where he hoped the dog would be. And there he was. Sitting calmly at the end of the sidewalk, tail tucked neatly beside him, gaze lifted toward the boy the very second he opened the door, like he had known the exact moment he would step out. The boy felt a gentle warmth spread through him. "You're really here every day," he whispered, a small smile tugging at the corner of his mouth. The dog stood, tail sweeping in slow arcs. The boy walked forward, and the dog fell into step behind him, closer now, not trailing far like the first days, but keeping a comfortable, trusting distance. Their rhythm felt natural, almost practiced, like they had walked this path together for years. Halfway down the block, the boy noticed something new. The dog wasn't just following. He was guiding. Subtle at first. When the boy drifted toward the curb, the dog shifted slightly, positioning himself in a way that made the boy instinctively move back toward the center of the walkway. When the boy slowed, distracted by thoughts, the dog paused too, then gently nudged forward as if encouraging him. Not pushing. Not demanding. Just leading him toward something better. The boy looked down at him. "You're doing that on purpose, aren't you?" The dog blinked. One slow, peaceful blink. As they approached the corner near school, the boy suddenly veered toward a patch of shade beneath a maple tree. He liked standing there, it made him feel calm before the day started. But he had never told anyone that. Not even the dog. Yet the dog went there first. Stopped beneath the exact same tree. Sat down. Looked at him with that calm, inviting gaze. The boy froze for a second, stunned. "How do you know?" He stepped beneath the tree too, letting the cool shade settle over him. The dog waited quietly, as if he knew the boy needed a moment before parting for school. After a beat of silence, the boy spoke softly. "You know. I don't think you're just following me. I think there's more to it. Something you're trying to say." The dog lifted his head slightly, ears relaxed. The boy knelt down, setting his backpack beside him. His voice dropped to a softer tone. "You pick where we stop. You walk the way I walk. You slow down when I'm sad, you stay close when I feel alone. A pause. The dog didn't move. Didn't look away. "You're trying to help me," the boy whispered. The dog's tail brushed the ground twice. Just twice. Meaningful. Gentle. Assuring. The boy felt a lump in his throat, the kind that made you breathe a little slower. "I don't know why," he murmured, "but I'm glad you're here." The dog stood when the boy did. And their morning routine continued. When school ended, the boy walked out the doors already looking toward the familiar shade near the fence. Empty. His steps faltered. He walked further, scanning the area, heart tightening with each second. "Where are you?" Then, around the corner, he saw him. The dog was nudging something with his nose. Something small and familiar. The boy's forgotten lunchbox. He must have dropped it that morning without noticing. And the dog, somehow, had tracked it down and guarded it like it was important. The boy hurried over. "You found it? You brought it back to me?" The dog backed up slightly, tail wagging slowly, proud but humble, like it wasn't a big deal. But to the boy, it was. "That's not normal dog stuff," he whispered. "You're paying attention to everything." He crouched down beside the dog, lifting the lunchbox into his arms. "Are you doing all this because of me?" The dog met his gaze. Calm. Focused. Gentle. Something inside the boy softened deep and warm. "Thank you," he said quietly. "Really?" On their walk home, the boy noticed even more of the dog's quiet choices. He paused at the exact spot the boy always liked to look over the small neighborhood pond. He slowed near the old wooden fence where the boy sometimes stopped to tie his shoes. He led the boy slightly away from a loud construction truck, as if sensing the sound might overwhelm him. Every movement felt purposeful. Every pause felt thoughtful. Every nudge felt like it carried meaning. When they reached the sidewalk near his home, the boy stopped, heart full. "I think you've been trying to show me things," he said gently. "Trying to take care of me. Trying to be near me in a way that feels important." The dog sat down again, tail sweeping the dust in soft, slow strokes. The boy felt that warm ache again, the kind that comes from understanding something you didn't know you needed. "I don't know why you chose me," he whispered. "But I'm glad you did." The dog leaned forward just a little, closing the tiny space between them, eyes glowing with quiet meaning. The boy breathed out, soft and full. "There's a reason behind all this. I can feel it." The dog blinked slowly. And the truth, whatever it was, lingered quietly between them. Not ready yet. But coming. The next afternoon felt heavy, the kind of day that settled deep in a child's chest without needing a reason. Clouds hung low, soft but gray, and the air carried a quiet stillness as the boy walked out of school with slower steps than usual. He didn't rush to look for the dog today. He just moved, head down, shoulders small, as if the world had grown a little too big. But he didn't have to look. The dog was already moving toward him. Not running. Not jumping. Just walking with gentle, deliberate steps, as if he sensed everything the boy felt the moment he stepped outside. When the boy finally lifted his gaze, their eyes met. "Hey," he said softly. The dog tilted his head, noticing the tiredness in the boy's voice, the way he held his backpack strapped too tight. The dog stepped closer, closer than he ever had on school grounds, until he stood right beside the boy's leg. The boy swallowed hard. "It was a bad day," he whispered. There was no bark, no pawing, no jumping. Just presence. Steady. Warm. Certain. They began walking, side by side. Today the rhythm was slower. The boy dragged his feet. But the dog matched it perfectly, pacing himself in a quiet, gentle way that made the boy feel seen without a single word spoken. A few blocks away, the boy suddenly stopped in the middle of the sidewalk. His breath trembled. He sat down on the curb, dropping his backpack beside him. He didn't cry. He just folded inward, like a small flower closing for the night. The dog paused. Then, incredibly slowly, he approached each step careful, each movement soft, until he reached the boy's side. He didn't sit at a distance like before. He sat close. So close their shoulders nearly touched. The boy felt it immediately, the warmth radiating from the dog's body, the grunting steadiness of him, the way his quiet breath matched the rhythm of the boy's shaky one. "You can sit with me?" the boy whispered, voice fragile but hopeful. The dog lay down beside him, head resting near the boy's shoe, eyes watching him with a depth that held something more than instinct. The boy's throat tightened. "It was just a lot today. People talked over me. Teachers didn't hear me. And at lunch, I sat alone again." The dog blinked, slow, calm, patient. The boy looked at him, eyes softening. "But you're here." He reached out a small, hesitant motion and placed his hand gently on the ground beside the dog. Not touching him. Just letting his presence be close. The dog leaned slightly into that space, a quiet acceptance. "I don't know why you follow me," the boy whispered. "But it feels like you know when I need you most." A warm breeze brushed their faces. A car passed in the distance. The world around them felt muted, as if wrapped in a soft blanket just for this moment. The boy let out a deep breath. "Can you stay with me a little longer?" The dog lowered his head under the boy's shoe, a gesture so deliberate and gentle it sent warmth straight into the boy's chest. He smiled. A fragile, grateful smile. "You're really special, you know that?" The dog slowly closed his eyes, listening. After a few minutes, the boy spoke again, quieter, steadier. "When I'm with you, things don't feel so heavy. It's like you take some of it away." The dog opened his eyes, lifting his head just enough to look at him again. Soft. Attentive. Connected. The boy wiped the back of his hand under his eye and not crying, just letting the tension leave his body. He took another breath. "Thank you." They sat together a little while longer until the boy felt ready to stand. When he did, the dog rose instantly, tail moving in a slow, comforting rhythm. They started walking again. This time, the boy's steps were lighter. The air felt less heavy. Halfway home, he glanced down at the dog, voice warm with newfound clarity. "You're not just following me. You're staying with me." The dog looked up with those soft, knowing eyes, the kind that somehow felt older than he was. A silent agreement passed between them. When they reached the end of the sidewalk near the boy's house, the dog sat as usual, but the boy didn't walk away immediately. He stepped closer, kneeling down until they were eye level. "I needed you today," he whispered. "And you showed up." The dog held that gaze, steady as a heartbeat. The boy reached forward, slowly, gently, and let his fingers rest on the dog's fur for the first time. Soft, warm, real. The dog didn't move. He didn't flinch. He simply leaned into the touch, offering comfort the boy never asked for but desperately needed. The boy's voice softened to a breath. "This didn't happen by accident, did it?" The dog blinked once. A calm, affirming blink. And in that moment, something shifted, quiet but profound. Their bond deepened, moving past curiosity, past trust, into something healing. Something meant. The next morning felt brighter, even though the sky was still soft and pale. The boy stepped outside with an unusual calm in his chest, lighter, steadier. Something about yesterday had changed him. Not in a big dramatic way, but in the quiet way that matters most. He walked down the steps with a small breath of hope. And as always, the dog was there. This time, he wasn't sitting. He was standing, tail already moving in a gentle rhythm, eyes warm in a way that made the boy's heart swell. "You're really here every single day," the boy whispered, smiling. The dog moved closer, closer than ever before, walking right beside him instead of behind. Their shoulders almost brushed as they made their way down the street. It felt like the dog wasn't just following now. He was joining him. That afternoon, the boy left school feeling lighter than usual. He looked toward the shade where his friend always waited, and he was there, tail sweeping the grass in a slow, happy arc. But beside the dog stood someone else. A neighbor. the one who lived 3 houses down from the boy's family. A kind older woman with soft eyes and silver hair that glowed in the sunlight. The boy hesitated, slowing his steps. The dog didn't move toward him. He just watched, calm, steady, waiting for the boy to come close on his own. When the boy approached, the woman smiled gently. "You're the little one he follows every day," she said softly. "I've seen you two walking together." The boy glanced down at the dog, heart fluttering. He follows me a lot." The woman nodded, her expression warm. "Do you know why?" The boy shook his head. A breeze drifted through the trees. The dog shifted his weight, sitting quietly at the boy's side. The woman crouched slightly, looking at the dog with affection. "He used to belong to my neighbor," she said softly. "A kind old man who lived alone for many years." The boy's breath stilled. "He loved that dog dearly," she continued. "They were inseparable. Every morning they walked the same path, the same corners, the same trees." The boy slowly turned toward the dog. "You've been walking this route for a long time?" The dog looked back at him, eyes soft, remembering. The woman's voice lowered with gentle sadness. When his owner passed away, the dog didn't understand what happened. He just kept coming back to the places they walked. Looking. Searching. Hoping. The boy felt something warm and aching bloom in his chest. "He wandered for weeks," the woman said. "Quietly. Calmly. Never causing trouble. Just trying to find someone who felt right to walk with." The dog shifted closer to the boy, pressing his shoulder lightly into the boy's leg. "And then," she said softly, "one day he saw you." The boy's throat tightened. "Me?" The woman nodded, smiling gently. "He saw the way you walk. The way you carry yourself. How you look at the world with that quiet heart of yours." She glanced down at the dog. "And he chose you." A soft breath escaped the boy, half shock, half emotion. "He chose me?" The dog wagged his tail, slow and meaningful. The woman placed a hand on the dog's head. "He hasn't followed anyone else the way he follows you. Not even me. Not even the people who tried to take him in. But you?" She smiled. "He walks your path like it's his purpose." The boy knelt slowly, placing his hand near the dog's paw. "Is that why you stay with me?" he whispered. "Because you lost someone, and you wanted someone to walk with again?" The dog leaned forward, gently pressing his head under the boy's hand. Not pushing. Not seeking attention. Just confirming. The boy's heart grew warm and tight all at once. "I didn't know," he murmured. "I didn't know you were hurting too." The dog pressed in closer. The woman stood back with a soft smile. "I'll leave you too. He's in good hands." She walked away, slow and kind. The boy and the dog stayed kneeling together under the quiet afternoon sky. "You've been looking for someone," the boy whispered. "And somehow, you found me." The dog rested his head gently against the boy's chest. The boy wrapped an arm around him, not a tight hug, just a quiet, heartfelt hold. "You weren't just following me," he said. "You needed me, just like I needed you." The dog lifted his head, meeting the boy's eyes. A connection passed between them, something deeper than companionship. Something chosen. Something meant. Something healing. The boy wiped a small tear from his cheek, smiling softly. "You're not alone anymore," he whispered. "Not ever again." The dog leaned into him, tail brushing the ground in slow, contented circles. And in that warm, quiet moment, the truth settled gently over them both. They hadn't found each other by accident. They had found each other because they were meant to. The next morning felt different from the moment the boy opened his eyes. Lighter. Warmer. Like the world had quietly rearranged itself overnight. He moved through his morning routine with a soft smile he couldn't hide. When he stepped outside, the early light spread across the street in golden layers, warming the pavement and the tops of hedges. And there, right where he always waited, stood the dog. Not sitting. not watching from a distance. Standing tall, tail sweeping the ground the moment their eyes met, as if he already knew today meant something new. The boy walked toward him, heart full. "Good morning," he whispered. The dog pressed closer than ever before, walking right beside him the moment they reached the sidewalk. Their steps matched perfectly, two lives moving in the same direction with a familiar, natural rhythm. The boy spoke softly as they walked. "I know why you chose me now." The dog didn't react with surprise. He just moved a little closer, as if he'd been waiting for the boy to understand. At the school corner, the boy stopped under the maple tree, the place they always shared a quiet moment. But today, instead of simply watching him sit, the dog stepped forward and rested his forehead gently against the boy's leg. The boy froze, breath catching in his throat. You want me to know you trust me too, don't you?" The dog blinked slowly, leaning just a little bit more. The boy bent down, brushing his fingers through the dog's soft fur. "I won't leave you either," he whispered. "I promise." The dog's tail moved once, slow and certain. The boy walked the remaining steps towards school with a heart that felt steadier than it had in months. At the doorway, he looked back. The dog didn't sit far away like before. He stayed right at the corner, watching him walk. Not clingy. Not anxious. Just present. A silent promise that he'd be there when school ended. And he was. That afternoon, the boy left the building already searching, but he didn't need to look far. The dog trotted forward as soon as he saw him, tail wagging with the warm, calm joy of someone greeting family. They walked home together, side by side, through golden light drifting between the houses. The boy talked more than usual, gentle words, soft rambling, bits of his day he rarely shared with anyone. "I drew a picture of us in class," he said shyly. "The teacher said it looked peaceful. I think she might be right." The dog flicked an ear, listening. "My friend asked if you're mine," the boy continued. I didn't know what to say. He stopped walking suddenly, turning to face the dog. The dog sat down, watching him carefully. "I want you to be," the boy said softly. "But I don't know if that's okay." The dog tilted his head, curious, hopeful. The boy swallowed. "Would you want that? To stay with me? For real?" The dog didn't wait this time. He stepped forward and pressed his forehead gently into the boy's chest. The boy's breath hitched. "Is that a yes?" A slow wag. A warm, steady look. A yes. When they reached the boy's house, the dog didn't stop at the sidewalk like he always did. Instead, he walked all the way to the porch, then sat down at the bottom step, tail moving anxiously but gently, waiting for the boy to decide what happened next. The boy's heart raced, hopeful, nervous, overwhelmed. He opened the front door and called inside. "Mom? Dad? Can you come here for a second?" Footsteps. Two parents appeared in the entryway, curious looks turning into surprise as they saw the dog sitting politely outside. "This is him," the boy said softly, voice trembling. "The dog who follows me every day." His mother blinked. "He's been with you?" "Every single morning. Every afternoon. He chose me." The father stepped closer, studying the dog's calm posture. "He looks gentle." "He is," the boy said quickly. "He helps me. He walks with me. He knows when I feel bad. He understands me." His mother's expression softened. "Sweetheart, do you want him to stay with us?" The boy hesitated, just for a moment. Then he nodded. "Yes. Yes, I really do." The father looked at the dog again. "Come here, boy." He stepped forward immediately, tail sweeping, posture respectful. He sat down gently near the father's feet, head lowered but confident. As if saying, "I can be trusted. I'm here for him." The father smiled. "I think he already believes he belongs here." The boy's heart swelled. "So, can he?" His mother crouched down, reaching out her hand slowly. "If he wants to stay, He's welcome." The dog leaned forward and pressed his nose into her palm. That was enough. That was everything. The boy let out a breath filled with so much emotion it almost shook. You're really staying," he whispered. The dog turned to him and wagged his tail, a soft, joyful rhythm that felt like the beginning of something new. Something real. Something shared. Later that evening, the boy sat on the porch steps. The dog rested beside him, head on the boy's lap for the very first time. The boy stroked his fur gently. "You don't have to search anymore," he said quietly. "You found your person." The dog nudged his hand softly, breathing warm and steady. "And I found mine too." The sun dipped low, painting the sky in warm shades of orange and rose. The street was quiet. The world felt safe. Two hearts, once lonely, once searching, now rested in the same gentle rhythm. A new beginning. A healing bond. A family formed in the softest way possible. And in the quiet glow of dusk, the boy whispered the final truth of their journey. "We don't walk alone anymore, not ever again."